This is Lindsay Nearing, our Children's Minister of Faith Formation. And Lindsay has both an interest and a real talent for selecting artwork. And she is the one who finds all of our images for our sermon series. And when she chose this image or presented this image for Easter, I just looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, you really hit a home run on this. And I knew it right away when she showed it to me. But the only thing standing in my way as we looked at it is this image too unconventional for Easter. Like most people have an expectation of Easter. Images in our minds that we associate with the day, Easter lilies, sunrises, butterflies, an empty tomb, signs of the resurrection. Would people understand what this image is communicating? Would it speak to you of Easter? So I needed independent confirmation. And is this something I like, that we like, or do we see in it what we want to see in it? So will this image invite exploration into the imagination in celebrating Easter? And so before I gave Lindsay the go-ahead to print this and run with this, I took the image to my most reliable source, who about 30 seconds before the first service told me I am not allowed to mention her name. So it's somebody I live with. So you know that. And Peggy is my most reliable test audience. Oh! It's okay, she's not here. She was at the first service. She consistently gives me honest feedback, and that's what I like about it. She will not sugarcoat things, and I like to say, while she was born in Minnesota, she does not have the Minnesota nice gene. Her reaction was exactly what I was hoping for. She looked at this image, and she spent some time looking at it, and she saw all the points that we were trying to make in it. She saw a child alone, gazing up, looking for answers to a question that we don't know. There are no words spoken, so we are left to wonder, but the child is standing in the light, and the light is kind of critical. It suggests that there's this answer, or maybe even more than the answer. Perhaps there's a conversation going on. The child is alone and yet not alone. There is warmth and comfort in the midst of this isolation. Now, I don't see a child, and I'm not sure what age or gender the person is. I love how alone the person looks. The loneliness, to me, communicates the grief of loss. When we are wounded, and I mean most wounded, we feel completely alone. The grass in the image suggests spring, but there's not another living plant around. And in grief, we just don't see life. And yet, despite the barrenness of the landscape, a light shines through. A sensation of warmth from a mysterious place lights up this lonely soul, and the person is alone, but is not alone. It's as though the light itself is saying to them, who are you looking for? We gather this morning in the sure confidence of knowing the end of the story that we read. Yet if we're honest, our sure confidence beyond today is often very shallow. This day is about alleluias and bold declarations of He is risen indeed. And all this joy can mask the grief and pain of the story. And sometimes I feel when we mask the grief, we can leave wounded people feeling as though they are failing because they cannot see the joy of resurrection in the midst of grief. So let us for a moment dwell with Mary Magdalene and her grief. And while he was living, Mary found new life in Jesus. He was a person who made her feel as though she had worth, value, and identity. He gave her the confidence one finds when they discovered that they're loved, and I mean truly loved. And she's had to endure this absolutely brutal week. She stood and watched the one who made her feel loved be arrested, abandoned, beaten, tortured, and killed. And now she comes to this tomb to say goodbye, and it's empty. You can tell from the story she just needs to see him one more time. perhaps to confirm it is real, or to speak to him, to thank him for all that he has done for her. Maybe she's just trying to process the madness of these last days. If you've ever experienced loss and death, you know the story is more than a story, it's real. This morning, I'm remembering sitting with a mother as she said goodbye to her 7-year-old son as he died. She needed the tears. She needed a chance to sit with her son, to say goodbye, and in the confidence of the resurrection, give that child up to the Lord. It brought her peace in a hopelessly lost situation. Mary brings others to the tomb with her, but soon they run away. And like the character in our postcard, she finds herself all alone. Then she discovers the emptiness of her heart is compounded by this empty tomb. Could Jesus' enemies be so cruel and heartless as to take this body away so she cannot properly mourn? Then her spiritual darkness, a light shines. People, yet not people, appear. And the strangest thing is her grief is too heavy to see the revelation of something holy happening around her. The light takes shape and asks, "Who are you looking for?" Listen to her pain. You can hear it in her words. "Just tell me where he is, and I will take the body away myself." When we say the craziest things when we're in the throes of grief. And then, and only then, at the deepest point of sadness, this story just quickly turns. She's invited into the mystery of death. We die, and yet we do not die. How can that be? This is a subtle exchange, or there is a subtle exchange in the story that lets us know that Mary understands more than us, more than the male disciples she'll go back and talk to. In the story, it says, she sees the teacher, but runs and tells the others that she's seen the Lord. Not our Lord, not my Lord, but the Lord. This exchange in Mary's experience is why I like this postcard so much. Mary sees and immediately believes. It will take a whole lot more evidence to convince those who are not there that Christ is risen. It will take several appearances and even a finger in the wound of the side for some. Now, 2,000 years after these events, we gather to proclaim that Mary's experience is truth. We not only proclaim it, we celebrate it. Our faith, our trust in an all-powerful God to bring life out of death is based on her witness and not ours. Like this postcard image, we are left to ponder, to look up into the sky, to search our own minds. We are left to read words, and often ancient words, or gather in silent prayers to look for answers. Is it true or not? Then wait for the mystery of the light to appear. The problem is we dwell in an age of technology, and we do not like mystery. We are enamored with our own intelligence, with our own science, and our own hunger for proof and evidence. That we cannot see the breadth, we're so enamored with it that we can't see the breadth and depth of life beyond what is right in front of us. Information just continues to flow at us like no other generation. It flows at us like water falling over a cliff, and it can feel like we're standing other than Niagara Falls of data. It interrupts our conversations, no matter what those conversations are. Look at this, look at that. Stop being present here. Come on over here and look at this. See who slammed who. Look what this idiot person did. Look what that idiot person did. And the world is falling apart. It's all coming to an end. Can't you see it? And blah, 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 blah. Those feeds go on. If you're honest with yourself, you will come to realize you are being spiritually formed by hopelessness every day. People who are spiritually hopeless will eventually find despair in every place they go. And the truth is, even spiritually hopeful people will find despair. The only difference is it will not collapse them. I have this friend that worked for years for the Diocese of Davenport. He was this amazing person that was head of their social justice ministry. He now teaches organizational management at St. Ambrose University and wrote this cool leadership book based on the Beatitudes. And once a month, we would get together for breakfast. And he said something in one of our conversations, just this like fleeting statement that happened and has just remained with me and become just the light in my life. I think about it all the time. He looked at me, he goes, Eric, I don't understand how the bread and wine become the body and blood of Christ, and I don't understand how there's healing in that communion, but I just love the mystery of it. I just love the mystery of it. And I say the same thing at Easter. I think the same thing at funerals or sitting at the bedside of someone dying. I think about it every time I preach, and I don't know how Christ brings from death into new life. I just like the mystery of it. And I find the more I lean into the mystery, the more it helps me navigate my darkest and deepest places. The mystery of Easter strengthens me every single day. And I'm not going to lie to you. I have dark days. I have days when hope is really, really hard to find. But I can see myself in this postcard image. Am I the only one that still believes? Am I worshiping a wish, a dream, an illusion that somewhere in the world hopes to be true? But the Easter experience reminds me, I prefer to live in hope. And that hope shines a light on my soul, even when it's wounded. Earlier this year, I told the congregation we need to stop being Christian and start following Jesus, and the world would be a better place for it. To follow Jesus is to remember we are Easter people. Not just today, not just on this day when we sing hallelujahs and we listen to the music and we do the celebrations, but every day between this one and the next, we live, we die, and we live again. That's what it means to be Easter people. It is easier to embrace this on Easter morning, but I want you to take one of these cards with you. Put it in a place that you can see it. Post it on your refrigerator in some idle Wednesday in June when you're feeling beaten down by hopelessness. Look at this card and remember you are an Easter person. Say to yourself, He is risen indeed. And then you will know who you're looking for. You are looking for hope, and hope will be real. Amen.